Hey, welcome to my journey. Today we're making 3 hamburger recipes, and guess what? They're all 100% simply filling. Now, yes, a couple of them do use my concessions, so that makes them 100% simply filling to me. If you, let's say the sour cream, since I can't find fat-free, one of my concessions is I use light, and I count light as simply filling. So if you don't, you put it through your recipe builder and get your points. But for me, everything else other than, let's see, sour cream, and I can't think if there was anything else or not. But yeah, these are great recipes. And there's a bonus cornbread at the end. Definitely stay tuned for that. Now, we made chili in the crock pot, and we made 1 skillet rotini. I will say about that one, unless you have an army to feed, cut it in half. I should have done that from the beginning. We didn't even eat half of it, and so I put all the rest in a freezer bag and put it in the freezer for another meal. And then we're making Mexicali Pie. I had to think there for a minute. And cornbread. So 3 recipes using hamburger, simply filling. Yes, you can eat good on a diet plan, and I am thoroughly enjoying myself. So let's turn around and get started cooking. This is going to be a nice one-pot, simply filling meal. Heat your a deep skillet, something like this, because we're going to cook everything in it together. Now, you need a pound of 93% hamburger. Mine, I have set 75. 3/4 of a pound. I'll get it out in a minute, because the way I had to get my hamburger at the store, I had to kind of skimp on this one in another dish, but I don't think you're going to be able to tell the difference in 1 pound and 3/4 of a pound. Now, let's see what I'm looking for. Recipe calls for 5 to 6 cloves of garlic. That's too much for me. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. I think that sounds like enough. And it does not say to season the meat, but I will, of course. And we're just going to cook this until it's nice and crumbled and completely cooked. Now that the hamburger's all done, lower your heat, add 1 can of diced tomatoes, and I like the petite. I just like them better. You don't have to do that. And then an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. The seasonings are 1 tablespoon of dried basil and a 1/2 teaspoon of dried oregano. We're just going to stir this up. Simmer this for about 5 minutes. You don't have to put the cover on, but just watch it and stir it just to make sure it's not sticking. All right, I simmered this for 5 minutes. Now we're going to add 3 cups of water and 12 ounces of whole wheat rotini. Now, it doesn't say, I think it needs more water than that, honestly. Maybe rotini's bigger than ziti, even though it's 12 ounces, its shape. I'm going to add some more water. Hold on. I'm going to add 1 more cup. Oh, that looks much better to me. I like that. Now we're going to bring this up to the boil, then reduce the heat and let it simmer at a low boil until the noodles are done. Covered. Don't let me forget that part. Covered. Well, let's bring it up to the boil first. I'm about to forget what I'm doing. Okay, it's up to the boil. Now we're going to reduce the heat. Let it do a low boil cover and simmer it 10 to 15 minutes. Come back and stir it every now and then just to make sure it's not sticking. And we're going to cook this until the noodles are done. That's what I'm trying to say. The rotini is done. One fell out and I tasted it, and it definitely needs salt. I would suggest salting the water and the pasta when you put it in. I'll see if that's enough. Because you know pasta takes a lot of salt. And there's one more thing I'm going to change. It's not really saucy enough for me. I'm going to add one more can of tomato sauce. And I'm going to let it heat through. See, that looks better to me. Now we're going to top it with 1 cup of fat-free mozzarella. And I know a lot of people don't like fat-free cheese. I've never read the ingredients, but it just seems no different than fat-free milk. Just cheese that's made with fat-free milk. What it sounds like to me. Now, it doesn't melt the best. It's not the creamiest. But I honestly don't mind it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the cover on and just let it sit here a little bit in the heat and see if it's not really going to melt, but see if I can warm it up a little bit. Okay, I take back that my cheese isn't going to melt. I just let it sit up here. I got playing on my phone, so I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. Now, I don't know how it's going to scoop out. I don't know, we're going to get it serving and see. Oh, look at that. That's nice. I didn't think fat-free cheese would do that. What do you think? I think that looks really good. So let me taste it. I tasted a little bit of everything. Cheese, sauce, noodles. It's really good. Now, if you want to bump up the basil and oregano, I don't. But since I added that second can of tomato sauce, before you put the cheese on it, taste it and see, and do it then. Then put your cheese on. So, there you have it. Our 100% Simply Feeling 1 Skillet Rotini. Okay, I've preheated my pan and put a little bit of oil in it. Now we're going to cook our turkey and onion and 3 cloves of garlic. Now, for Simply Feeling, it's supposed to be 97% fat-free turkey or above. Well, I bought 93, not thinking, because beef is 93. And I'm like, oh, well, then turkey's 93 too, but it's not for whatever reason. But for all intents and purposes, I'm making this Simply Feeling for the fact that if I can have 93% beef, I don't know why I can't have 93% turkey. But from now on, I will do 97. So just pretend this is 97. And we're just going to let that cook until that turkey's done, chopping it up into small pieces. And I've pretty much got everything else ready to go because I am in a hurry this morning. I think what I will do, though, is hit this with a little house seasoning because I like to season my meat. Even though it's going in something with seasoning, I like to put some seasoning on the meat too. It makes a difference. It really does. And that's Paula Deen's house seasoning. Google it or find it on my website. Okay. I do need to clean a few things up. When this gets done, I'll be back. Yay me. I was just filming away. Didn't turn the camera on. So let me talk to you while I'm stirring this in. The turkey got done. Some of it more well done because I let it cooked dry before I caught it. But I have 2 cans of diced tomatoes. I use petite because I like them. Recipe calls for fire roasted, but I had these on hand, so I wasn't going to spend money on more because I honestly have never been able to tell the difference. And then 3 tablespoons of tomato paste, and then 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. Now, the seasonings are a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, 3 tablespoons of chili powder, a tablespoon of cumin, a tablespoon of oregano, dried oregano, and then salt to taste. And I just put I don't know, it might have been a 1/2 teaspoon. And that's what I've got cooking in here. So let's go over to the crock pot. I went ahead and put that in here. Now we need 3 cups. Well, actually it's 3. It's actually, it says 2 2/3 cup, but it's close to 3. So you can see I had to use 1 can. This is what I used because I didn't have a box to measure out. I used 1 can of chicken broth and 1 cup of chicken bouillon, reconstituted chicken bouillon, because that's what I had. So we're going to get that mixed in good. And then the last thing we need is 2 cans of pinto beans, and these were drained and rinsed. And that's all there is to it. I know it's a lot of ingredients, but it went kind of fast considering I just got everything set out and ready to go. You can do the same thing. You can pretend you're filming and just stage your ingredients, and there you go. We will cover this and cook it on low. Let me go ahead and, nope, David's going to turn it on because I've got to go. We'll cook it on low for 6 to 8 hours. So I'll see you back then. All right, it's been about 6 hours, and this is just a little bit more liquidy than I want it to be. So I am going to add some instant potatoes a little at a time. I could add my instant flour, but I don't think it's, I don't know if it would work as good as these potatoes would. I mean, that don't even make sense. Just scratch what I said. You can see already how it's thickening. See? Let me do maybe 1 more spoon. I think I will set this to warm until David gets up, and I am going to spoon out a little portion. And it says serve with corn chips, which I have some tortilla chips we can eat with it. So let me let this cool. I'm going to give it a taste, and I'll let you know. Oh my goodness. That is some seriously delicious chili. Now, well, I can't decide. I'm just super sensitive, and for some reason I'm getting more sensitive to spice. I kind of say I would back up on the chili powder, but then I kind of say I wouldn't, because it's, oh gosh, it is so good. I was skeptical of the chocolate. You can't taste it, but I think it probably gives it a depth, a deeper flavor than maybe without it. And I can't tell that it's turkey. So, for 0 points, yeah, I'm all about it. But anyway, this is delicious chili. And you can thicken it or not thicken it. So we're going to start our Mexicali Pie by cooking our hamburger. Now, it calls for a pound of hamburger, but the way my order ended up this week, I can only use 3/4 of a pound, like my other recipe. But I think it'll be just fine. Now I'm going to season my meat. This is house seasoning. Paula Deen's. So Google Paula Deen or look on my website. About an onion. And some garlic. I don't know, let's just eyeball 1, 2 big ones. And so we are just going to cook this until it is nice and crumbled and done. Our hamburger, which I forgot to mention, is 93%. So use 93% or above for simply filling. It's done. Now we need to add our spices. We have some salt. It might be a half a teaspoon, and then a teaspoon of chili powder, and a teaspoon of cumin. So we're just going to stir that in right quick just to get it distributed around. Okay, now we're going to remove it from the heat. Now I have my oven preheated to 350, and I have a 9x9 baking dish already sprayed with Pam. So what we need to add in is 1 3/4 cup of cooked brown rice. I just did instant because I've been outside cleaning in my building today and didn't get in here in time to make regular brown rice, so this will be just as good. 1 can of kidney beans that you have drained and rinsed. 1 cup of fat-free cheddar cheese. And here is 3/4 cup of skim milk, and I beat 2 eggs in it to kind of break them up. We're just going to pour that in. This looks really good. Let's get that egg mixture mixed really well. Okay. Here is our 9x9. You can see it's going to take it. If you don't have a 9x9, just, I say go ahead and use a 8x8. I think that'll be okay. So we just want to spread that out. This will bake for 25 minutes, and we just want to make sure that it's good and done with the egg mixture in there. Then while that is baking, we're going to start on our cornbread. For the cornbread, in a small bowl, 1 cup of cornmeal, not cornmeal mix, just plain cornmeal. Teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And we will just mix that together right quick. Okay, in the larger bowl, I have 2/3 cup of non-fat plain Greek yogurt. It doesn't have to be Greek. That's just what I have. Just fat-free yogurt, plain. And 1/3 cup, it's supposed to be fat-free sour cream, but I can't find fat-free sour cream, so that's one of my concessions. I use light, and I count it as simply filling. And then to that, we need 1/3 cup of granulated sweetener. Now, this is going to be sweet cornbread. I don't know if you don't use it, how it'll turn out. This is the first time I've ever made this. But put your sugar in with your, oh, I forgot my egg. Hold on. Put your sugar in with your wet ingredients so it will dissolve better. Okay, we want to mix this really good. Okay, I think that looks really good. We want to stir in our dry ingredients. I changed utensils so you can hear me. The recipe says we'll make 9 good-sized muffins, or to make it in a round cake pan. Well, I'm going to make it in my 6-inch cast iron pan. Normally, I like to preheat in my regular cornbread. I like to preheat this with some bacon grease in it. And when the bacon grease and the pan gets hot, I like to pour that into my cornbread and then stir it around and put my cornbread back in there. But this is simply filling cornbread, so it's different. But it does look like a good cornbread batter. So I just sprayed this with some avocado oil. Now my Mexicali Pie is not out of the oven yet, but I like my cornbreads to set before I bake them. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to let this one sit. I got probably about 6 minutes left, so I'm just going to let this one sit here that last 6 minutes and just kind of do its thing. And then it will go, I'll have to up the temperature to 375, 15 to 20 minutes till the edges start to get golden brown and a toothpick comes out clean. All right, both our dishes are done. I just let this sit here while the cornbread baked, and I don't know what it's going to look like. Oh, it's nice and firm. So it does come out kind of like a pie. See the texture of it? Okay. Now, here, let's slide this over. And let's get to the cornbread. And this took the full 20 minutes. I checked it at 5, and it was still running in the middle. So I put it, excuse me, for 5 more minutes, and the toothpick came out clean, and it was nice and brown all over. I'm nervous to taste it. It's cutting really good. Okay. Now let's scoop one out. Oh, let's get one of the big ones first and make room. Uh-oh, I left part of it. It's very tender, so we have to be careful. Now that's still hot. Here is our plate of food. So I'm going to let that cornbread cool off enough to where I can taste it. It'll be so hot now I won't be able to taste it. So when I come back, I'll give you my verdict on both of them. Well, the Mexicali Pie is really good. The surprising thing on the plate is this cornbread. Let me show you the texture. Can you see? Is it blurring? See that? Looks just like cornbread. It is so tender, and that is not too much sweetener. It is just sweet enough. It's tender. It tastes like cornbread. I am shocked. I was not expecting much out of it. I just expected it to kind of taste like, I don't really know what I was expecting. But this is a very passable cornbread. And the fact that it's simply filling just makes me ecstatic. So this is the last recipe of the video. So I will say that I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some good recipes, some things to try. And that's all I know. Not knowing when you're seeing this. So see you when I see you.